Hello, everybody. Um, this won't again be a long live because it's raining here. It's not even raining a lot, but it's that kind of foggy, drizzly, low barometer kind of stuff. So, and I'm having some issues with my hands, but nevertheless, we are going to make some. I'm going to show you how to make some Nautilus for Nautilus fossil. And for this you need, this is actually scrap clay, but it would be the sienna. You need anything that would be a light brown. It's not necessarily absolutely totally has to be this or the other. And I just messed up. I missed my short blade. Let me get another one. I've been working on some stuff and I have this habit of putting stuff. If I don't put stuff right where it belongs, right once I'm done with it, it's going to be a disaster. So first we need to do some chopping things, right? And for these chopping things we get the translucent. This is what we need to do for what we are doing. We get the translucent and we chop it. And we will have to chop it. Hello, sweet pea. We have to chop it really fine, but as you will see, I'm chopping it not so fine to start with. But then I'm going to add some chalk pastel. You can add mica powder, but it won't look as authentic as a chalk pastel. You can put some Hyaline. I'm glad you made it. You can put some, if you have that amaceous earth around the house, you can use that. Talcum might not be fine enough, but and why I'm doing the chalk pastel before getting it even thinner, smaller, chop it, because when you chop the clay, it has the tendency to stick with itself. So if you add powder, it's going to make it stop sticking it to itself. The problem here is that you need to figure out how much to add, because you want it not to stick much to itself when you're chopping, but still to stick with itself once you're done chopping, because you want it to keep it together, you know, not separate. So you want to break it as much as you can, as finely as you can. As you can see, I'm doing this, and I'm going to add some more. And also because the white powder is going to underline the facets. So what you have to think is that the certain parts in a fossil, and especially in a Nautilus, because you have in a Nautilus, you have, when it fossilized, it's going to have the flesh of the Nautilus that fossilizes, and usually that gets when it gets agatized, that's when you have, I mean, for the ammonites, that's when you get the amylites, so the opalized, agatized, opalized stuff. But when it comes to the Nautilus, what it actually does, it's something closer to quartz, more quartz than agate. So you want that white powder to kind of be in between the chunks of translucent, so they would be defined. And you can also add, and I'm going to add just a little bit, you can also add a little bit of brown. I'm going to add, see, this is a relatively grayish dark brown, but I'm going to add an even darker one. This one, it's almost black. And you can also add a yellowish, an off-white, because what you want to obtain is that agatized natural effect. And I'm talking strictly about the inside of the Nautilus, or the ammonite fossil, where the flesh of the animal used to be. And it's not always nice and white. Sometimes it has certain hues of brownish, beigeish, and stuff like that. So there we go. You can make this even lighter, the brown even lighter. Do not use off-white, because generally these fossils are, the lightest that they would be a little bit of a darker beige. So once we got this fairly finely chopped, as you can see, I'm chopping it very, very, very fine. And as usual, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger than what I would normally do. And you can make pendants with it, you can make brooches, whatever your heart's desire. And then you start gathering it together. And you want to get a thin-ish cylinder. And as I said, you have to make sure that you don't put too much. Hi, Christina. That you don't put too much, excuse me, dust, so it would still stick together. And you can see it's not that whitish anymore. It will be more white once it gets baked. Now for the next thing, you are going to actually start wedging it, making it thinner on one end. And you want to go fairly thin. Now you have to make first the front, and then you will add, I'll tell you how to add the backing, because you want to make it look pretty no matter what. So we're gonna get something like this. I'm going to grab about this much, and this is on the thickest setting. Excuse me. And I am going to roll this in the thicker setting, but before I do any of the sorts, I am going to actually cut, because before we go further, let me see here. To show you exactly what we are doing here, but this will be much simpler, more oh, come on. Let me find one that is, let's get on the display. Because we are talking about the ones that are that are cut in half. This is where you're going to see something like that. See, you have all these various colors, and the part that's inside is, as I said, more quartz-like than agate. There we go. So there's another one here. Let's try finding one more. There we go. So you can see the whole, what I'm trying to make here. So the first thing I'm going to do is to get this on a thinner setting. And you can use even two of them, one lighter and one darker, but put them both together through a thinner setting. That is very important. And before I do anything else, you can use cutters, you know, the itty bitty cutters from Polyclay Play. So I'm going to cut them, cut my little wedge thing, and as I'm going towards the top, it will be, the slices would get thinner. And as I said, I normally do this much smaller, but I want to show you it's better smaller to bigger too, so you can see exactly what I'm doing. At this point, you don't have to worry much about that little S type thing. You just want to get a regular ammonite thing or Nautilus. Okay. Told you my hands aren't working very good. Let me actually get the itty bitty cutters. Alrighty. So at this point I don't have a, I mean, I could get the Kemper cutters, but I'm not getting up again. People who have chronic pain know exactly what I'm talking about. There are actually sometimes You know how it is when you're in so much pain and so tired that you'd rather be thirsty than getting up and getting a glass of water. So all we do is practically just putting these together, and I'm waiting to get to the side, to the size that I can use my little cutters on. No, I think I am good. So just you reconstitute the little wedge, only that you put the slice of brown between the, and as I said, this can be made out of, it may be lighter color, you can put two colors if you want. Okay, time to get to the next size. Hey, I had a little one in here. I had no idea. Alrighty. And we go to the next size. These are so useful. Okay, this one is breaking. Oh. And just keep putting it back together. And after that, of course, we will make sure that it is properly. What would be the next one? I think it's this one. Yeah, they are awesome, aren't they? Okay, one fell right here. And the next one needs to be a little bit smaller, I think. And soon I'm going to need my eyeglasses because this is getting tiny. And one more. Go for the next size. And of course it had to stay inside. This is the last one. Alrighty. So you got the idea on how to make this thing. And we are going to put it back together, make sure that it is nicely rounded and flat. I mean, you don't want to have the slices going you want them to be perfectly aligned. And even if you didn't align them properly, once you do this, they will align properly. And you will get a little bit of distortion in the little slices. Where did this come from? I have no idea. It's okay. And then we get this on the thicker setting. And let's get this in a diagonal. And I'm going to turn it around. Make sure that it is perfectly at the end. And this lip that you've created, it needs to be very well stuck here. Let me know if you think that I need to zoom. And we are going to roll it. Of course, it's going to come on a... But what we want is pretty much this. It is possible that's not going... Yeah, it will go. It will go all the way. It takes a little bit till you figure out the proper angle. So it needs even more from here. There we go. And now it should... You need to do the closure here. And here it depends on how good your hands are, because you can try and roll it first in the spiral and then cut it if your hands are in very good shape. Or, and here we want to feather it nicely so there wouldn't be a trace. Or you can first cut it in half and then roll it. And there we go, we have a good... And because my hands are not in that good of a shape, let me cut this end here. I'm going to first cut them in half and then roll it. Where was my... I think this is my... Okay, make sure that it is very straight, so you can cut it directly in half. See what we got? And and then you can start. And I'm going to kind of get rid of a little bit of this because it's a little bit too much. And of course it helps when you cut with a sharp end. Theoretically, you should, the wrapping should be thinner towards the top, but it's going to be just fine. So we just go ahead and now convince the clay, and you want to go with a cut down because it's going, as you start rolling, it will want to raise, and this way, if you go with a cut down, you will stop it from raising. You will keep it flat. And then very easily after you bake it, I suggest that you do a little bit of sanding and buffing on the other side, the side with the so-called agatized part. And I will, hi Lynn, I will zoom in so you can see how it looks like, and I will post a photo of the finished product. But what I was talking about, of course you can leave it like this, and if you decide to leave it like this, I will show you something interesting that you can do. If I can find my thing. Finnegan keeps stealing my texturing sponges. For some reason, he's obsessed with them. Let me get my toothbrush. So you can use a toothbrush. You can use one of those brushes for fingernails. If you want to leave it like this. Otherwise, you can, after you bake it, you can place just a flat piece of metallic clay like gold or silver to cover up all the, of course, you first make little sausages. But you want this to be very well texturized, and I'll show you in a second why. I want more texture than this, and this is the thing. I cannot find my my texturing sponge. Anyway, I'm going to give it some fingernail poking. I mean, you can find all kinds of stuff to texture with. Make sure that you get some texture in the, if you leave it like this, in the groove. And then I'm going to give it a little bit of more, and you can do this with acrylic too if you so desire, but I'm going to give it some let's see, this color should be good. And then give it some beigeish ochre. And some of that dark brown. Alrighty. So let's see, I don't think I'll need more than this, but we'll see here in a minute if I do. So I'm going to use first the darker. Sounds a little bit weird to use the darker first, but this is what you're supposed to do. And you want to use the brush going in like this, because you want the dust to go in all the crevices. Let me get some of this other color. And actually I think I'm going to need a lighter color as well. Okay. And now I'm going to wipe some and then grab a light beige, almost an off-white. The same one that I used for the insides, and this should be enough. Let's see. And I'm going to just swipe with my finger. Because as I said, you want this whole thing to be looking like an ancient fossil. And at this point, what you want to do is to go in there and kind of there we go. And I am going to, right now I'm going to refocus so you can see the whole thing. Okay, so this is how of course, if you have a texturing sponge, use a texturing sponge because it's going to look much better. And then the other side, it looks like this. You can go in and kind of put these together. But you see why I was saying that the part that's on the smaller end of that wedge should be thinner. But as I said, once this is baked, these will become translucent, and you will have all that agatized look. So I'm going to make the other one in a little while after I rest a bit properly and bake it, and I will show you how it looks like once it's done. But this is a good way to imitate a Nautilus / ammonite fossil if you so desire. So I hope to see you all next Sunday, and I hope you have a great week. Sorry I haven't been very active, not even on Facebook. I'm trying real hard to work on the website too, and we had a lot of rain this morning and yesterday and Friday, so I was pretty kaput. wasn't able to do much of anything, but I'm trying to do here and there something. And to be very honest, as I said in my, I posted something for the members. I am a little bit down because, of course, I am worried because I am on disability and on SNAP and on the assistance for energy. I barely make anything on YouTube if I start deducting all my costs. So yeah, I'm wondering if I'm going to be able to buy my kratom for pain for next month. So, but well, things are the way they are, and we take them the way we can. So apologies if I'm not as chipper and as active as normal, but there's that. Thank you so much, everybody, and I hope to see you all next Sunday. Have a wonderful week. Bye.